What's going on, guys, and welcome to Rabbit's Used Cars. My little buddy right here seems to always get into trouble. The Carfax Fox. I hate this guy. I really do. That's why I sell classic cars, because I don't deal with junk like this. But you know, that being said, a Carfax is a good and a bad. People swear by these things. And I don't know if it was the fact that I was selling cars before that was even a thing, or I was brought up on the craftier side, but I see through the shuck and jive. My job is to do the shuck and jive. My job is to talk you into a new car. This is a service that has been pushed into people's heads that if you don't have that piece of paper with that little fox going like this, you don't know if you got a good car or not. And I'm going to give you a couple scenarios and even got a little story. See, this is the thing about a Carfax that a lot of people don't understand is Carfax ain't like Santa Claus. It don't see everything. It don't see you when you're sleeping. It don't see you when you're awake. It only sees what the insurance company reports or the DMV reports. It doesn't see a lot of things that can happen. And I'm going to give this example to you both ways. You know, it tickles me. Well, that's the only way I know the mileage is correct. Do you know how many cars are sold every year that are technically TMU, true miles unknown, that because of a Carfax, get a good mileage put back on them again? Or do you know, this is kind of a filling you in on the shady side, and I'm not this guy. I don't do this. That's federal. But you know, you got your odometer cutting guys, which is still alive and well, even in the digital age. You got your odometer cutting guys that use that Carfax, kind of like the thieves use that corner mirror, you know, that big curved mirror up in the corner of the store. Yeah, you can see them stealing, but they can also see you watching. So what do? They pull the latest Carfax up. They know what that last mileage stamp was instantly. So they know where to set that odometer at. Well, let's say someone buys a car brand new with, 6 miles on it and drives it for 10 years. And they took it in for their routine maintenance and all this stuff. Never sold it, never changed addresses, never changed anything. And that happens a lot. So you're saying that someone couldn't wind that odometer back to the last warranty recall that was done on it at 42,000 miles? And let's say it's got 242,000 miles on it. What keeps somebody from doing that? Does that little fox jump up and, hey guys, you can't do this? No, they don't. It happens every day. A big thing with the flood cars. Well, it catches all those salvage titles and those damn salvage car dealers, those guys pushing those wrecked cars on people. Well, think about it. If it wasn't for those guys, hell, Ed Bowling wouldn't have nothing to drive. But look at it this way. Yes, it does catch the salvage cars that were wrecked and turned into insurance companies. This is another big one. How about if you got a guy that's just running liability on his car, car's paid for, he's running liability insurance on it. Let's say it's 5 or 6 years old, which is very common. Say there's a flood. Oh shit, my car's full of water. Water goes down. He sends to a cleanup shop. Car starts up, it runs fine. They change the oil in it, they change transmission fluid in it. Lets the coast clear. Next thing you know, some flickering lights. Maybe the door chime just keeps going. Maybe the radio quits working, then it comes back on again. Maybe he slams the door and sand runs out of the headliner. Don't ask me how I know this. What does he do with this flood car that doesn't have a salvage brand? It doesn't have flood on the title. The Carfax don't say shit. He trades it in and gets him another car. And there you have a car that slid right past that Carfax. That's the thing. Carfax is a good thing. It's good. But I wouldn't exactly call it that ironclad guarantee great. Another thing, a funny Carfax story, and this was actually in the early days. and I'm going to have to be extremely vague with this. And I will go ahead and forewarn you all that this did not involve me in any shape, way, form, or fashion. I was merely an innocent bystander, period. Straight up Scout's honor. Right hand of Jesus, so you know I'm not lying. 1998. There's a guy who has a Chevrolet Tahoe that he leased. And he had a job where he traveled. He was a salesman. He traveled a lot. He was driving. And he drove this Tahoe. He was the only one that drove it. He didn't really work out of it. He just drove it to where he needed to go. You know, he always put really nice Michelin tires. He always kept it very well maintained. Literally, the rest of the seats in the vehicle probably never got sat in the majority of the time. Just the driver's seat, holding the steering wheel, set the cruise going down the highway. Well, he got suckered into a smart lease through General Motors like a lot of people did. Smart lease was straight up the devil back in the day. You know, this guy knew the miles were going to run over. He said, well, hell, I'll probably just buy the damn thing out. So technically you're going to pay for this car twice now. But it's a great car. You know, it's got 190,000 miles on it now. His lease was for way less than that. Keep in mind, leases are around for one reason only. That makes clean, low mileage used cars. That's why they have leases. This is no longer a clean, low mileage used car. So they're going to tax his ass if he turns this thing back in. So the only way really out is to buy it straight out. Now, granted, that'd be for a prorated price, but it's still up there. Well, this guy gets this Tahoe and he's thinking, man, you know what? I've had it for a couple of years. I really don't need a Tahoe. You know, I don't know, whatever. I don't know what I should do with it. You know, I don't think I need a Tahoe anymore. I need to get a smaller car, something more fuel efficient. So he buys the lease out and does the right thing. It gets traded to a car lot down the street from one I was working at. I knew the guy. I knew the car. I knew everything about this thing. Super cool guy, seen the car 100 times, hell of a road in it. Bragging about how many miles it's got on it, and it's immaculate. Not a rock chip. I mean, the driver's seat, just a little bit of butt wear. Steering wheel's perfect. The rest, I mean, it's pristine. All the books, owner's manuals, everything. He buys it, takes a total loss on it, ends up trading it in at a little small used car lot for, you know, a more fuel efficient car. I don't even remember exactly what he traded it for. Well, you got to think about it. You know, local car lots, you're extremely competitive. You're always watching what's on the front line. You're always watching what's selling, what's moving. Why are they not moving these cars around? Why is that thing sitting? Damn, that car's about to have a birthday. This. You shop talk. You talk trash when you bump into each other at a little local diner at lunch. You know, that's what we do. This Tahoe, like, got traded in and then went away. And I really thought, because of the mileage on it, that, you know, they just run through the auction. You know, I mean, they just flushed it. We got to talking about it one time over lunch. They said, my wife drives it, runs like a top. I'm like, well, that's cool. Yeah, you know, the old lady's got to have something to drive. That works, you know. You're in it cheap. It's, yeah, man, I stole that thing. Fast forward, I was taking a car from my lot to have some warranty work done on it. At the local Pontiac GMC dealership, there was this good-looking pewter Tahoe sitting on the front line of the used car lot. Clean as a pin. Went over and looked at it, and looks just like my buddy's Tahoe, and just like the one that got traded in. You know, they made a lot of pewter Tahoes. Looked at the little sticker on it, and it was, you know, hell, you gotta think about it, it wasn't 4 years old. So it was late model. 72,000 miles. And it looks it. I mean, it looked like it had 17,000 miles. It was clean. Little salesman walks out. He goes, you want to see this thing? Yeah, sure. Open her up, Skippy. So he opens up his lockbox, gets the key out, That seat wore the exact same way. This is my buddy's truck. And we even have a clean Carfax for it right here. And it showed right where he leased it, my buddy's name, all the way down, and it went to a used car lot. And then the mileage changed. You see what I'm saying? So it started at 0 miles. They looked at the very last stamp, like it was took in for some kind of warranty work, added 20,000 to it just to make it look right. And then it went in this little car lot. And then all of a sudden, it's at this GM dealership now with a cut odometer. But it's got a clean Carfax. Do you realize that someone's going to buy a 200,000 mile Tahoe thinking it's got 70,000 miles on it? And don't get me wrong, Vortec 350 engines, they're great. It's been well maintained. Let's say when their odometer says it's got 150,000 miles, this thing is, drinking oil and smoking out the pipe. And you're like, man, this thing. No, because that Carfax lied to you. So that's why you can't necessarily do that. And I've got another funny one on the flood cars. And this is actually a car I did sell. We got in the business a long time ago with my dad back when he had his used car lot. I'd come home from school. And that was my after school job, was selling cars. My dad sold salvage title cars. That was his thing. Late model, low mileage, cars with a bad history. There'd been a wreck, it'd been, theft recovery or a fire or a flood. And we sold the hell out of them. Sold them all the time. We had finance companies that would finance them, and it was just, you got to think about it. At 16, 17 years old, I was selling 10 cars a week out of this little car lot, faster than my dad and his body shops could get them fixed. Because it was a great way for someone to get in a late model car at damn near half the price. And like I used to tell people all the time, you know what? You're the only one that's ever going to know it's got a salvage title. Drive it, enjoy it. You got a nice car. And it's the truth. If it's fixed right, there's nothing more wrong with it. We had a blue Cadillac come in that was very nice. It was a flood car. And the car was a good flood car. Judging from the water lines, there's a joke about flood cars. You always want to buy a flood car with a water line on it, because if it doesn't have a water line, that usually means it went over the roof. Seeing a water line's a good thing. This Cadillac had one that just caught the back of the car. So like the trunk got wet, just right to the rear end. And this is like a Sedan DeVille, like a 2000 Sedan DeVille. Blue, and you can see where the water got in the trunk. And, we cleaned it up and drove it around a little bit. Nothing on the inside of the car, but, all the upholstery inside the trunk, we swapped all that out, cleaned everything up really good. Spare tire had a ton of sand around it, all that stuff. But got all that clean. Like it had water in the tail lights, of course, take those out, blow them out, put it all back together. It was a great car, but it had a flood brand on the South Carolina title because of that. Well, we sold it to a guy. And that car wound up at another new car lot on their used car lot. I'm thinking, you're selling flood cars? Because this car stuck out because it was like a light blue with a dark blue, Landau top, and had gold emblems and chrome wheels. This Cadillac stuck out, like literally. This was a Southern Baptist preacher ride from way back. I knew this car from a mile away. No, sir. No, sir. Local trade. Clean as a pin. I said, you got a Carfax on that? Sure do. And that's called title washing. And I don't know exactly how they did it. I don't want to know, because that's really getting on the side of the law that I don't like to mess with. I've made it this far, stayed on this side of the bars, so we're going to keep it that way. That just goes to show you about the Carfax. And like I said, I sell classic cars mainly, so Carfax don't even apply to me. Because most cars that I sell are pre-81 anyway. But now with the OBS trucks getting so hot, and even some of your newer square bodies, and the third gen Camaros, and the G-body car, G-body, 442s and all this stuff. I got a clean Carfax on it. don't necessarily think that's the holy grail of information. You know, you still need to do your homework. A clean Carfax is a good start. But then you need to start looking for clues, looking for wear. You know, like the Tahoe I was talking about, looking at the wear on the seat, looking at the wear on the steering wheel, you know, things like that. Those are the ways you can tell. You know, another thing, and I actually learned this from a used engine guy himself, you know, talking about, you know, just little things you can look at, judging the mileage on a car. Another thing this tells you too is if it kept up on their services. When you pop the hood, pop that oil cap off, look inside that oil cap. They'll clean that motor all nice and pretty. Pop that oil cap off and look at the backside of it. It's all caked up with nasty oil and stuff. They probably didn't change your oil very often, did it? Or probably if it's really low miles, something's not adding up. Just a few little tricks of the trade. Stick around, I might teach you something. Guys, we'll catch you next time at Rabbit's Used Cars.
Hey guys, Carfox here. I just want to tell you about a little something about this old rabbit guy here. He's kind of a shady little character. He don't even have extended warranties. I see him charging batteries all the time. I see him talking about something on eBay where he was banded and all this other stuff. I just don't know about that little shady character. You need to start paying attention to him and more start paying attention to me because I'm the Carfox. I'm the one that can write the bills.
I was going to say organization, but then that's kind of like a mob thing, so I'm not going to say that. Maybe slams the door and sand runs out of the headboard. You know, it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? You had to buy it out. In the town, I was selling these cars. I was selling. Cut that part out. So